All right. Good morning, fire breathers. Happy Friday. All right. So, I'm going to start with the gym 2019 0510 body weights. You have 3 rounds for time. You've got sumo squats and air squats. So it is important that you make a distinction in between your 2 types of squats as you're doing your workout. There we go, sorry. Okay, for these sumo squats, what do I mean by that? Wide stance, right? Sumo wrestler, whoop, whoop. Outside of where you are normally. You don't want to be too wide because we are squatting, we're not deadlifting. So, but wider than you would normally go. Toes can be turned out about 11 and 2. They don't need to be straight forward. Totally up to you. What's most comfortable to give you that good angle. But from there, you want your same squatting mechanics that we always use. So, belly button in, ribs down, core nice and tight, keeping that back straight, chest up. Your hands can go wherever they want. You're going to scoot those hips back, lower down, into a squat and up. You still want to get those hips at least in line with your knees. So it's a full range of motion, okay? Down and up, down and up. You're gonna feel this in your inner legs. For your air squats then, when you're doing them, you're gonna bring your feet in, shoulder width, maybe is about where we go, just outside your hips maybe. Again, core does the same thing. Your belly button's in, you're squeezing your butt. Chest is lifted, back is straight. Then you're going to keep that tension and that tightness as you slide your hips back, then send them down, keeping that weight in those heels, chest lifted. That keeps your knees back behind your toes. Think out to the side to open your hips. That'll help you get some depth. Heels into the ground, squeeze your butt to come up to standing. All the way down, all the way up. No half reps, that doesn't help anybody. So when we're here, we're not standing up like this. We want full range of motion, full activity in those muscles. Then you've got 3 different kinds of planks. You've got a left side plank, a right side plank, and a handstand hold, not a plank. So for your plank, you can be on your elbow or in your hands, whichever one is most comfortable and feels most stable on your shoulder. Both feet extended out, and you're going to hold that straight line. If you need to bend that bottom leg, that's a scaled version, absolutely acceptable. Just keep that hip stacked. Okay, so we're not opened or closed and rotated, it's in a straight line. And then that top shoulder, your wrist over your shoulder, down through your bottom hand. If you need to, if that is even still difficult for you, stable object that isn't going to slide away from you, and you're gonna hold like that, okay? So, since your entire workout is for time, but you've got a certain amount of time to hold those planks. Obviously, to go fast, you're not cutting seconds or time off of your plank hold. But what you're trying to do is hold those planks unbroken because it is total time. So the time on the clock doesn't stop if you drop your plank. Time keeps ticking, you still owe time in that plank. So just challenge yourself. Take a rest as you need to, 5 to 10 seconds, get ready, get that mind right, and then hold for that minute, okay? I find it best, just from personal experience, to look at the clock, see when you're starting, and then distract yourself. So you want to breathe. You want to keep your mind in your muscles, but you do not want to sit there and think, oh no, it's only been another second. It's only been another second. That just makes the minute go by longer, right? Pot of water, watched boil slower, right? That whole thing. So Focus on your breathing, right? Don't be dramatic. Oh God, it's a minute. Breathe yourself through it. This is fine. I'm getting through it. Big deep breath in, big deep breath out. Big deep breath in, big deep breath out. Think about what you're going to be doing later on today. What's been good about your morning so far? What are you looking forward to today? Then look at the clock. Oh, look, 10 seconds left. I can hold this for another 10 seconds. Okay, so mental trick for you. All right, then you've got a handstand hold. So let's talk about this. RX for your handstand hold is going to be either kicking up against a wall or doing a wall walk up against the wall. Doesn't really matter if you're facing in or facing out, whatever you need to do, but the minute doesn't start until you're up against the wall. If you are still working on that or you don't have a stable place to safely kick up or wall walk up against, your scaled option for this is to hold a pike position off of an object. So again, something stable that isn't going to slide, like my couch keeps sliding. When you do this, the higher up your feet, the harder it is. So the lower your feet, the easier it is. And the goal is that your butt's gonna be up in the air and your shoulders are still at full extension as you hold. So, like this. Okay, so this could count as a scaled option for that if you're working on that. Your most scaled option for a handstand hold is going to be to hold a down dog. And just focusing on getting up as high as we can, keeping that back and those shoulders and those arms straight, all right? If you are unable to do a down dog position, talk to me, I'll give you another scaled option for that. So, home, great work this week. Keep it up, you're crushing it. Gym, you are taking a break from strength. You're getting your strength in the form of Metcons today. So if you are an athlete that is following this program with the focus on increasing your strength, and you're looking at the gym programming today going, oh, this is terrible, I don't want to do any of this. If you've been a member for a while, absolutely go back through, find a former strength, one that you either skipped, didn't get done, take the time to do that today, right? Use today as a makeup strength day, or do one that you enjoyed and want to repeat. So that's the fun and having the variety of having all those workouts in your app for you. You can sub something else in. If you are doing today's programming, then you've got 3 separate Metcons divided by 5 minutes of rest. And then each Metcon is scored differently. So your first one, you have an AMRAP. You've got handstand push-ups. So against the wall, starting in a locked out position, head touches the floor, which is flush with your hands, and then back up to full extension. The top of your handstand push-up should look like this, right? Not going to the open standards for this year, so it doesn't need to be strict. And we don't like breaking and bending in our handstand push-up. We want to maintain the integrity of our shape, right? So you want a good kind of hollow or arch position where you're not overextended, your hips aren't breaking. You want full extension of your elbows. You want to pull through and have good lat engagement at the top of your handstand, but we're not going to be too strict on those standards for this purpose today. We're also not going to be lazy, and we're not going to not follow any sort of rules. So if you need to go wide and this is your range of motion, fine, just know that that's going to limit you come competition time. If you're breaking at the hips, if your legs are real loose and wide, again, not the best standard. I am a stickler for form. I believe that if you're not doing it as perfectly as you can while moving quickly, you're just not benefiting yourself. But We're all adults, we make our choices, right? So, good handstand push-ups. Scaling options for your handstand push-ups is going to depend on where you are as an athlete in whatever it is that you're working towards in this. So there are a lot of awesome options to scale handstand push-ups. If you know me as a coach, if you're learning me as a coach, I have very deep scaling. So I don't believe in, unless it's a competition, which this is not, in just, okay, well, you can't do handstand push-ups, you're doing hand release push-ups. No, we are working to get better at skills that are just at the edges of our limits that are going to make us better, but are still able to be done. So what that looks like with handstand push-ups is half strict presses with the barbell. That's one of my favorite to strengthen that position. Dumbbell push presses. Pike push-ups. Again, depends on you as an athlete and where we're at. So if you need help with that, what do you need to scale it to? Talk to me. I will help you out with that. Pistols. These are alternating pistols. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, an RX pistol is one leg up off the ground. I'm very sore and not warm, so we'll see how this goes. Doesn't matter what you do, you can hold your toe, you can hold your foot, you can go freestanding. The rule is your free leg does not touch the ground at any point until you come back up to full extension on this working leg. So get that hip down below that knee and up, then switch. Again, scaling options for pistols if you are unable to complete that. You want to practice full range of motion on one leg. So if you are having the problem in that bottom portion and getting back up out of the bottom of that squat, you can stick a plate underneath that heel to elevate. You can hold a counterweight out in front of you, so a kettlebell or a plate to help you shift that balance forward. Another very good option that I prefer to holding an object is to go up on top of a box and either go to the side of the box with that free leg off the box as you squat and up, or to the back side of the box, drag that toe along the back as you squat and stand up. That's teaching you unilateral strength that you will need to transfer over to a standing pistol. If none of those work for you at all, then talk to me and I will give you a more scaled option, but those are the preferred methods for most athletes. And then pull-ups, chin over bar. Okay, butterfly, kipping, you can do strict if you want. Full extension of your elbows, chin over that bar. Then you've got a deadlift with that barbell. Good deadlift for every single rep that you do. Yes, it's a Metcon. Yes, we're moving fast. We move well when we move fast. So squeeze your butt up top, come to full extension, standing, back down to the ground and up. Hang power clean. After your last deadlift, or if you take a break, you have to deadlift that bar up. As much of a hang as you need, doesn't need to be big unless you need it to. Jump, full extension, mini squat, elbows up, stand up, down, up, down, up. Open the hip, close the hip, stand up. When we do power cleans, especially in a Metcon like this, but I even see it sometimes in strength, remember, we want to keep our back strong and safe. What we do not want to do is hang, whoop, and then up. That places a lot of excessive strain and work on our lower back, and our hips are where our power lives. By being able to open and then snap that hip shut again, and then come to full extension, we're conserving our power and using energy where we have the most of it. So, a not good rep I mean, it counts, but by good, I mean, it's not virtuous, right? It's not a very virtuous movement. We want to move well. Here's a good rep. Okay. Then you have push jerks. Starting from your shoulders, dip, drive, catch, and up. If you can cycle it, by all means do so. Just make sure you come to full extension of your legs with that bar overhead before you drop it down underneath. If you've never played with cycling your jerks like that, the way you tie them together and do competitive style jerks is by, as you come to receive the bar, right, we tend to do this. If I'm in a good enough pushing position, I've just received the bar, but I'm also on the bottom of my dip. Okay, so just keep that in mind if you want to play with that. So that's part one. Part two, you've got clusters. Cluster is a squat, clean thruster. So every single rep, that barbell starts on the ground, full extension, front squat, push press, back down to the ground, full extension, front squat, push press, back down to the ground, okay? Keep your hands on the barbell if you can. If you need to do singles, that's fine. Just stay in control of your barbell. And then double unders, pretty standard, straightforward. You can do 3 times the amount of single unders, or if you sort of have double unders or you're working on them, you can, depending on how well you count while you're metconning, for every 2 single unders you do, you can count it as 1 double under. The math gets kind of weird, okay, but if you can do it that way, do it that way. That way, whatever double unders you do will count without having to take 5 minutes because you're doing single, 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 double, 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 single, 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 double, 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 okay? So if you can count that, by all means, do that. I like that option because that's training you to do a double under in a metcon, and then hopefully doing more double unders than you've done before. And maybe this will be the time when it clicks and you're doing 20 of them in a row. If you're not to that point, but you should have double unders and you just haven't worked on them, do a round of penguin flaps. I know it feels ridiculous. The more ridiculous some of these things are, though, usually the better of a training tool it is. That's how you're going to make progress, by doing something you don't feel comfortable doing because you've never done it before. So with a penguin flap, you are doing that little extra jump that it takes for a double under. I should say a higher rebound. Double unders are not jumping, they are rebounding. It's a little bit higher to give yourself time to get that rope under your feet twice. And it's also a faster movement of your wrists, right? It's like flipping the pancake quickly. I personally don't flip pancakes well. So you are going to jump and slap your thighs twice for every jump that you're doing in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and so on and so forth. When you notice you get out of rhythm, stop, reset. That teaches you the timing of a double under. You can do a round of that, then grab your jump rope. See if it helps. Excuse me. Okay, so then you are ending on a 1 time through for time. Bike calories. Please notice that they are different for men and women. It is on an air bike, a fan bike, so an assault bike, an echo bike, an Airdyne, a Schwinn, any other fan belt bike that you have. Then you've got overhead squats. It's a lot of them. It is with an empty barbell. So even though the weight is light, we always want to respect the barbell. It's higher volume. So you can snatch it up into place, hands in your overhead squat position, so kind of wider. Roll it in, lock it back and down. You still want to be pressing up into that bar. Respect the weight. Driving the bar up into the ceiling. Your armpits are forward. You're thinking of breaking that bar up overhead. Your core is tight. Your belly button's in and down. Your chest is lifted. Feet are outside your hips just underneath your shoulders, sending those hips back and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. Take a break when you need to. I would recommend, if you can, take a break here, wiggle, shake, and then get that bar up. The more you have to bend over and do this number, you're gonna walk, oh God, then you gotta bend over. Like, just try to minimize that as much as you can. And then you're ending on knees to elbows. That is not a typo. Do not try to upscale this and make this toes to bar. You are doing knees to elbows. Knees to elbows suck. They burn. They are a different movement than toes to bar. So, I do believe that I read in the CrossFit Journal a long time ago, in like the original one, that the proper way to do this is with your palms facing in, so that you do like a half pull up and you can actually bend and touch that knee to that elbow. Holding like this and hitting here. We're not all doctors. We all didn't go to medical school. This is a tricep. This is not your elbow. This is your elbow. So knees to elbows does not mean knees to triceps. Does not mean knees to armpits. If you hit knees to armpits or knees to elbows, that's either a no rep, or if you're doing every rep like that, it's scaled. Up to you, but if you want to, again, virtuosity and integrity, hit your knee to your elbow. Knee, elbow, knee, elbow. Okay. And like I said, palm in if you bend, and then full extension and bend. Trust me, you'll feel it. It'll be great. So that's that gym. Scaling options for any of that. The bike calorie distance can go down depending on where your cardio is, how working on your fitness you are. The overhead squats, if there's something that precludes you from getting into an overhead squat position, talk to me, I'll give you something else. If it's the weight, if the empty barbell is more than you've overhead squatted, PVC, broomstick, something lighter, right, that's laying around. The reps are more mental probably than anything. But again, talk to me if you have an issue with that. And then the knees to elbows, again, I told you some scaling options for that if you're not actually able to physically get your knee to your elbow. If you are unable to hang, talk to me and I'll give you a scaling option for that. But all right, guys, nice work this week. Keep it up. Enjoy the burn today. Enjoy your weekends. And